Okay, guys. I'm trying not to waste time. I think my GoPro is about to die. But also, the school that I usually or what I was planning on recording these videos at is I think they're doing like after school programs right now. All the elementary schools around here have them. It's like daycare kind of, right? So I don't want to ride around there in circles, distracting them and having them all staring at me. I used to work for the company that does it anyway, so I know what it's like when the kids get distracted. So today's topic is downshifting, right? Now there's a couple ways of downshifting. There's rev matching and there's engine braking. Personally, I never engine brake. I always rev match, which in turn will cause you to engine brake. So basically what rev matching is when you downshift, you blip your throttle and downshift, and it matches your RPMs, right? So say I'm in 4th gear and I'm going about, we'll say 60 miles per hour. So I'm probably around 5,500 RPMs, right? If I downshift it and I rev match, or say I downshift and I don't rev match, right? I drop it into 4th, or I drop it into 3rd from 4th, then my RPMs are going to go up. That's bad. That puts strain on your engine, on your transmission, or it puts strain on your engine and on your transmission, and in turn, it basically fucks it up. Now, another thing to note is if you go way too high in the RPM, so say I'm going pretty fast, right, and I don't feel like upshifting, and I'm in 4th gear, and I'm going about 80 miles per hour. I'm probably somewhere around this range, about 8,500 RPMs. So if I was to downshift and not rev match at that time, it would shoot up to about 10,000 RPMs, which could cause the bike to jolt, and you go, and you would also get fucked up as well as the bike. So now I say you're gonna get fucked up, because that's a hell of a lot more effective than if I say you're gonna get messed up. If I say you're gonna get messed up from it, yeah, you're probably gonna think, well, it's not too bad. But if I say you're gonna get fucked up, you think to yourself, well, goddamn, I don't want to get fucked up. So, excuse the language, but it's the most effective way of describing it. Okay, so, like I said, I don't really want to waste any time, so we're going to get out here. We're going to demonstrate it. Now, I would like to note that rev matching and engine braking is, I don't want to say more brutal in a lower gear, but when you're in a higher gear, it's a lot smoother, right? So if I was in 5th gear and I was to drop down to 4th by engine braking, the engine wouldn't necessarily, it wouldn't sound so bad, right? So we've got it in 3rd gear now, right? So if I want to rev match, downshift, and rev it, right? Now this takes a split second. I downshift and I rev it at the exact same time. I'm not sure what the actual process is. I don't know if you have to necessarily say downshift it and then rev it, or if you have to rev it and then downshift it. I don't know which one it is. Personally, I prefer to just downshift it and then rev it. That way, whenever I do downshift it, it feels a lot smoother, right? If I was to rev it and then downshift, then by the time I've downshifted, my revs have probably already stopped going up. So if I downshift and then rev it, my revs are going up as I'm also letting off the clutch, which gives it a hell of a lot smoother transition, right? So when would you use rev matching? The main time you would use rev matching is when you want to slow down. Obviously, you're not going to go down gears if you want to speed up. So, say I'm coming to this light right here, right? I'm in 4th gear right now. Rev match, okay? Now, from 2nd to 1st, you see it kind of jolts a little more. So, in a lower gear, rev matching is more brutal, okay? Now, when you're in higher gear, it's a lot smoother, it doesn't jolt as much. It's a better, transition between gears. So I'm gonna go down this road right here. I'm gonna demonstrate a little more, how you do it. And I'll also demonstrate engine braking, right? That is when you downshift without rev matching. So rev match. Now
when would you engine brake instead of rev matching? That's when you want to stop completely. So if I was to go from second to first gear, that is when you would engine brake. Now I would like to note that when you are rev matching, when you first start, you're not going to be comfortable with doing it, you know? I didn't start rev matching until I got this bike, so when I was on my Ninja 250, I didn't rev match at all. Whenever I would downshift, I would literally pull in the clutch and downshift and just hold it until I came to a stop. That's terrible for your clutch plates. You don't want to do that. You don't want to ever hold your clutch in for an extended period of time. So when you downshift, make sure you do engine brake. I know as a beginner, they don't teach you that kind of stuff in the MSF course. So, you know, you're not going to know how to do it. Now, I would also like to note that if you're on a high gear and you are... Why we fucking stopped? Now, I would like to know if you're in a high gear and you do what I do. Say, whenever I am vlogging, right, my bike is pretty loud. So, a lot of the time, I keep it in a higher gear than I should have to. You know, I'll, just so it's quieter. That way I can talk, you don't hear the drone of the engine over it, and, you know, it's a lot better for you listening, it's a lot better for me talking. You know, I can think clearer when I'm doing it. So right now, I would usually be in second gear going this fast. So if I was to downshift right now, I probably wouldn't need to rev match it. And if I do, I would have to blip it just a tiny bit. And whenever I say blip, I mean just twist the throttle, right? Blipping it is when you just give it a quick twist. So right now, I probably honestly wouldn't have to rev match it. My RPMs are already low enough for whenever I switch into second gear, it's not gonna jolt me. Now, engine braking is when you want to come to a stop. So engine braking is when you don't rev match. Now, I'll demonstrate. I don't like it because it slams your testicles into the tank most of the time. It's a hell of a lot more brutal than rev matching. So I don't like it. It makes me feel like my back tire is also going to slip. If you don't have ABS, I'm pretty sure your back tire will slip. So look, like I said, I didn't need to rev match it. So rev matching is usually when you want to slow down but not come to a stop. Now, I will rev match whenever I do want to come to a stop. Anytime I switch from second to first, I still rev match. And then, you know, I'll hit about 10 miles per hour. I'll pull in my clutch and use my brakes. So most of the time, whenever I want to brake, I don't even use my brakes at all. I let my engine do it itself. So rev match, rev match, rev match, right? So now that you know what rev matching is, if you hear either a sports car or a sport bike revving their engine and you think, oh, why are you revving your engine? You know, you're just coming to a stop at a light. Well, now you know, If you didn't know what rev matching was before, now you know what it is. Now you know when to use it. I would suggest using it, honestly. Engine braking hurts. It's kind of scary. Like I say, if you don't have ABS, a lot of the time your back tire will slip. I have had times where I don't rev match, or before I started rev matching, my bike would fishtail whenever I would downshift, and obviously not rev match, I would downshift and let go of my clutch. So I think that's whenever I started thinking, you know what, I need to start rev matching it more. So now whenever you are coming to a stop, if you don't really want to rev match it necessarily, you can downshift and then just give it a little bit of throttle as you're going. Do not give it a lot of throttle. If you give it a lot of throttle and you drop that clutch, you're gonna do a wheelie, right? So I don't know if you could tell whenever I did it, but watch, I'll demonstrate again. Now, this is not obviously the correct way of doing it. I would suggest rev matching over everything, but I want to slow down right now. I'll downshift it and I'll just slowly release my clutch as I'm giving it a little bit of throttle. That's what I used to do on my Ninja 250. I quickly realized that whenever I would downshift and not rev match, because I didn't know what rev matching was, that it would jolt me a lot. My back tire would feel like it was kind of, you know, slipping a bit, not necessarily catching. So I would start, you know, downshifting, and anytime I would think that I need to do it, I would just give it a little bit of throttle. So again, rev match. So when you rev match, especially when you go into first gear from second gear, it helps you engine brake as well. So I'm sorry this was a short video. Like I said, my GoPro is about to die. However, I don't know if I could have made this a long video anyway. Rev matching and downshifting, it's not necessarily a topic that you can talk about for such a long time, you know. If you want to get more information on there, if you wish this was a longer video, just put the video on repeat, you know, it's not that hard. So, alright guys, I'm out.